Thank you so much. You can do something tonight from a bar with friends, from your sofa at home, that will change the world. You don't have to wait until next year to vote again or find the cure for climate change or disease. You just have to watch a game, a women's game. Why? Because watching women's sports is the fastest way we can bridge the gap in gender equality. If we do nothing different, it will take us 123 years to reach gender equality in the United States. That means our great-granddaughters will be the first ones to experience it. 123 years is way too slow. But the good news is that we can get there so much faster. We can bridge that gap. We can get to gender equality. We just have to watch women's sports. I was a confident, freckled, redheaded little 9-year-old the first time that I learned that we don't treat boys and girls the same in sports. It was that summer that I wanted to play Little League baseball. I'd been learning to pitch and hit. I'd watched the Mariners on TV, and I wanted in. I wanted to run the bases, and I wanted to throw overhand. But I was told that Little League baseball was only for boys. I could play softball, but not baseball. The problem was, I didn't want to throw underhand. I didn't want to play with this big yellow ball that didn't even fit in my hand. I wanted to be what I had seen on TV. I remember the cutting sadness when I was told that I was not allowed to play the sport I wanted to simply because I was a girl. And I distinctly remember back then knowing I wanted to change the world. I wanted to make sure that every girl could play any sport she wanted to. And I wanted us all to be treated the same as the boys. The problem is, the US ranks 49th in the world when it comes to gender equality. Until the age of 12, boys and girls actually play sports at equal rates. But by the age of 13, while boys continue playing sports and learning critical leadership development skills, girls begin trading in their sneakers for bleachers. Why? Among other reasons, boys grow up watching themselves on TV. Media is full of men's sports. Fantastic male athletes, massive men's games, big stories, and really cool sneakers. Boys get to grow up imagining themselves being a famous basketball player or football player. They get to dream. They are surrounded by possibility and opportunity on every single screen. Meanwhile, women's sports make up just 15% of all sports programming. And that's up from 5% just a couple of years ago. That means that incredible 12-year-old girl who slays on the court, she has no idea that she too has the potential to be a superstar hooper because the WNBA is not on the screen after dinner. She cannot be what she cannot see. Gender equality on the screens changes how we view women. It changes how we value women. But we need more women's sports programmed. We need to be able to watch more women's sports in order to inspire her, to show her that potential and that opportunity so that she'll stay in the game and become a woman who leads. Why does this matter? Because when women leave the field and stop playing as young girls, They lose access to critical leadership development skills. And without that, we simply lose future women leaders. So how do we fix this? We need more women's sports to watch. We need more women's sports programmed so that that changes. And things are changing. Fast forward about 4 decades from that summer that this little redheaded girl wanted to play baseball. And in 2022, I opened the first company in the world purpose-built for gender equity in sports fandom. It's called Rough Tumble. Rough Tumble is changing the world by prioritizing playing women's and men's sports equally. Every day, we play women's sports on the big screen and 18 others with sound, and often in lieu of a big men's game. Every single day, we engineer equality because engineering is what it takes. We are not there yet. And until we are, it takes great intention and a very intense work. Gender equality on the screens changes how we view and value women, and it inspires that young 12-year-old girl to stay in the game and likely become a woman who leads. This is where you come in. When you watch a women's game, you rewrite algorithms. You're telling advertisers and networks, put your money here. I want to watch this game. They don't wonder whether you want to watch women's sports. They know. Nielsen ratings, streaming clicks, how long you watch the game, all of those create data points, and those data points translate into dollars. Because advertisers follow eyeballs. More eyeballs on more games translates into bigger media rights deals, huge ad buys, and all of that translates into more women's sports being programmed on more channels and in better time slots. I opened Rough Tumble a little bit less than 3 years ago, and Deloitte recently reported that in those same 3 years, women's sports programming has increased 400%. In great part because we are playing the games that no one else would. We play more than 30,000 hours of women's sports on all our screens every year, before thousands and thousands of fans. Now that's eyeballs. Because of what we are doing, we are creating more women's sports programming for everyone. And that is going to inspire that 12-year-old girl to stay in the game and likely become a woman who leads. So let's fast forward 10 years. We've been watching women's sports. We've been turning on that game. What does it look like? 50,000 people routinely show up for a women's sports regular season game. Men's and women's sports are programmed equally on primetime television. 10% more girls are playing sports than are today. And 40% of all C-level exec and board positions are held by women. Kids say names like Caitlin Clark, Stephen Curry, Serena Williams, and Lionel Messi without qualifiers. And the twist to all of this, every contract, every headline that you're seeing, every cultural shift, it all started because every single one of you were inspired by this right now to go home tonight and turn on a women's game. and then another. That's how revolutions start. Not from sweeping grand gestures, but from one small choice, layered upon another and layered upon another. And if we keep doing that, if we keep making these choices over and over again, just 10 years of compounding fandom will erase 50 years from that 123-year timeline. Just 10 years of watching women's sports will erase 50 years from that 123-year timeline. And if we keep doing it, if we keep watching women's sports and we keep going to those games, we will reach gender equality in this lifetime. All because we went home tonight and turned on a women's game. And then another. So this is my invitation to you. Watch women's sports. Buy that ticket. Go to women's games. Grab that remote and break open the glass ceiling. Let's change the world.